universe. It's 7:22 p.m. on 7/22/2022. And, well, I may not have the fortitude to pull together recordings on Father's Day or Flag Day. Did I miss Flag Day? I might have. Hard to say. But my sister's birthday I for sure missed. My own birthday I missed. 4th of July I missed. Bastille Day I missed. Well, I guess you could throw my sister's and her husband's anniversary in there, because that was 3 days ago. 5 days ago. And yes, I missed that too. As a matter of fact, I'm just now realizing I missed that entirely. That is the holiday that never shows up when I think it should. But here on the other Pi Day, or at least Pi for a Circle Day, well, I wasn't going to miss this. And frankly, that was bullshit. I have missed every day between this moment and I think it was June 30th because of a crisis in confidence. A failure to correctly interpret my forward destinations, and as always, some self-loathing and I'm not good enough bullshit weaving its way through my cerebellum in ways that it, well, I won't say I've been limited, but I have been gathering the strength necessary to finally embrace what I'm here to do. And there are so many circuitous routes that I have somehow strung together here to feel some semblance of forward momentum. But it's realized this isn't a question of synchronicity. This isn't a question of confidence in myself. And I don't think it's a question anymore of uncertainty for the future. For my future, yeah. But no, it seems like in terms of all the other stuff, that's all going to work out for the best. So, I know that's the least meaningful, hey, guess who just stumbled into the front yard introduction I could give here in my absence, but with 420 ticking down, you know what I'm going to do? Oh yeah. Unpause. I also forgot to apologize for this being recorded on the, what I will call the smartphone paradigm killer, the Google Pixel 2. This phone basically has convinced me to pull smartphones out of my pocket because I hate it so much. So I'm sure this recording is now doubly downgraded to the sort of experience that the Google Pixel 2 is known for. But having now apologized for technology that is less capable than my Samsung Galaxy S4, which I miss to this day and will probably order one on eBay just because I guess I'm old. Well, it is what it is. I got some earbuds here. I might put those on, see if it's any better. But I know this microphone is a piece of crap. And so, apologies therein, but working on it. Back to the drawing board. But hey, back to the drawing board could be... Nah, that's not what this episode's about. No. In fact, this episode is about knowing... I actually wrote this down. This episode is about to bore you to tears, but before it does, it's going to be pursuit of my self-assigned, self-allocated, self-arranged. Wait. Oh, well, I'm not putting self in front of every one of these. Holy smoky. Too many A words. Yeah, like that one. So the asshole that is working on a self-assigned, allocated, arranged, abstracted, adapted, altered, aggregated, assembled, audited, amended, accredited, assayed, announced, advertised, advised, administered, apprised, analyzed, adjudicated, authenticated, appraisal of my current CDMs. And I consider my current CDMs to be whatever delusional mental states, C denoting current, I am suffering. And since I've basically walked the gauntlet of delusional, what is when you fear delusional invasion of your thoughts may be occurring, you're caught up in paranoia. It's not really paranoia though. It's like a frenetic agitation that you may not be able to depend on your own interpretations and thoughts regarding reality as it's being shared among us. It's definitely anxiety. Panic is close. Boy, if you feel yourself slipping into delusional states of mind, if panic isn't in the neighborhood, it needs to be called. But now that I have, it's 8:20? No, 8:20 is dumb. But 8:40, well, that's like double 4:20. So, for the next 20 seconds, I have combated everything from audible voices that aren't there to inner thoughts of insanity. And I've done it mostly over the last month. Unpause. So the other spelling, okay, no more so jokes. Self-assigned. I feel it is imperative, personally, and I do not know that this is imperative for another human being experiencing 8675309 Earth, but it is for me. It is imperative that I schedule in some self-assessments to gauge my mental states, emotional states, general apathy and lethargy toward everything versus all other intuition, impulse, and identified behavioral quirks I'm known for. And I do this because I have found myself pulled to extremes in runaway fashion. Not that I'm not present and aware of the loss of control as it's engaged, but there are warning signs that you are about to enter the vortex of no turning back. Well, having learned finally that being on tilt is a decision. It is not a burden. It is not a personality. It is not a circumstance of unfortunate composition that creates individuals who are reckless and unconcerned with the general welfare of the greater at-large environment. No. Nope. It's a decision. It's a decision to state to the universe, I have lost my faith. So, if I don't assign myself regular opportunities to go say, have you lost your faith? And if you did, why'd you do it? What happened? Well, it could be because my kitty's going to die. I have a feeling this week. Or it could be a lot of things can cause you to run askew. And especially in the rutted wheel lock cart path carved routes that we are prone to fall into. Well, if your defaults are activating and you aren't clearly aware that you're engaging in autopilot mode, well, then you're probably denying or protecting yourself from something that you will only regret later having ignored. So, step one in combating the notion of, oh my God, am I going fucking crazy? Well, I have to assign myself the project of finding out. So, step one, assigned. Step two, allocated. I definitely allocated the time necessary. I've been really pondering this for 6 weeks. And since there's no money to be allocated, no funding to procure, no deep pockets to call into the boardroom for a whiteboarding session, well, allocating time, the one gift I've always been good at giving myself. Done. Check. Arranged. Okay, so I arranged to test my my delusions against, well, I guess 4, technically. Reality constructs, those being work, family, Lily, and initiatives, what we'll call the kindness, understanding, and forgiveness through listening, something I've adopted over the last 6 weeks, train that I keep telling myself I'm on, but seem to have forgotten to buy a ticket. That is the extent to which my life exists. So while I could have included my athletic endeavors, I could have included my social outreach, I could have even included my current predicaments with my pets, well, they aren't testing my delusional the seduction that it is to feel like you're all full of shit and it's not me who's crazy. I don't know that I don't need quarterly confidence reports to determine that I am still in agreement that today, and for the most part recently, I have been not crazy. So the time allocated, the arranged bandwidth in which to do the analysis, well, abstracting a purposeful measure of one's delusional CDMs is not easy. And it's harder now than ever. So the abstracted part, we're going to get back to. The adapted part, however, altered, aggregated, assembled, audited, amended, accredited, assayed, announced, advertised, advised, administered, apprised, analyzed, adjudicated, authenticated appraisal of my CDMs. So, adapted, I feel like now more than ever, the community with which to adapt to the strength of coming through your momentary lapse of reason, that community is more supportive and larger than ever. So I adapted this check to include some feedback, direct and indirect, from the community itself, meaning those of us teetering on the edge of sanity on any given day. So that altered my basic approach, because this is something that I only do in rabbit hole drill downs between me, myself, and I. And if I feel like some other voices are contributing that aren't included in those three, well, yeah, obviously they can have a seat at the table. So this time it was more allowing myself to pursue sanity as the necessary outcome that would prove I'm not insane. If I can embrace sanity at its fundamental level in my life as an integrated purpose for all my actions, then that alone is enough to qualify me as sane. Personally, I don't give a shit about medical appraisals. I'm just saying for myself. So I think for once I'm understanding the way I'm going to achieve my personal reward in this life is by embracing a community that until at least this year or last year I would never have even thought I was a part of. So we'll get more into that. Aggregated. So aggregated. Do you aggregate insanity when you bring the insane into your immediate orbit so that their presence is constant? I sort of feel like I did. Enough that I severed ties with Lily in a way that, while I can't walk myself through acting any other way than the way I did, it still is it is a major blow to my feelings of doing good for the community to have let Lily down in such a dramatic fashion as to have had to kick her off my property under threat of police intervention. So I have aggregated the crazy, and I have assembled the necessary concepts inside that mental madness to determine which levers are indeed threatening to be pulled should I decide to slide off this current state of tranquil, centered mental stability. So, audited. I do go back through some old results, like, Myers-Briggs shit, whatever, and just retake stuff to see if any of those things have changed. None of that's changed. And if I have one thing in life that I would be willing to say, okay, you want to test me on something, I bet you I am an INFJ, and I will be an INFJ with my J. Is that the INFP? Yeah. So it's INTP, ENTP. Okay. I am an INFJ, and I am significantly I, significantly N, and significantly IN, and significantly F. But when it comes to the J part, which I think is judgment versus perceiving, I'm always 51%, 52% J. So, then the other ones are like 70 or 80%. So they're confidently in the corner of whatever. And so I'm an INFJP or something like that. But taking those tests, I even took some 80-question test of your current mental health and scored poorly. Scored concern valid. And yet these are they're meaningless measurements. None of this has bearing on what I'm dealing with in my head that nobody else is privy to, that it's all me, and if I can't work through it, I don't have there's nobody coming to help. If you lose your structural thinking, if you lose the validity of it as a process, if you lose faith in your own capability to interpret the signals being sent, well, what are you left with? A complete disillusion of reality. There's nothing on which to hang your hat. The entire enterprise has no accountability. And so if you're thinking things like, well, I mean, could it possibly be that not only are we being lied to in unreal ways, day to day, minute to minute, through every broadcasting or tracking piece of electronica we allow into our lives, all of that noise, all of that messaging, all of that brainwashing, if you can't still pull inside your own cranium to the place where you are stable and verifiably intact against the world, then I don't know what kind of life you have left. And it was this crisis that I was facing. Because not only do I think we're being lied to in every conceivable fashion by every source of authority that pretends to give us nuggets of truth, but I now believe that we have been manipulated into a glaring sandbox of twisted interpretations, of which all of it is designed to restrict us from achieving the simple initiative of life that we were all put here to achieve. And as as deadlocked on the loony bin as that entire barf bin just sounded, it's not. And it's not in a way that I'm now almost angry. It's not. It's so much easier to be the one who's broken in a world full of stable and foundational, supportive, to have to integrate an entire I mean, what is it? An operation? A mechanism? It is the sort of complete control of what access and connection you are able to make with your soul in a 3D space-time continuum reality. It has been not just neutered, it has been literally pre-programmed. The scale at which we are misled, misdirected, mishandled, misapplying ourselves, missing out. The gap there is something I never knew existed until 4 or 5 years ago. It didn't exist for me. Because whatever you wanted to say about thinking spiritually or on the level of soul fulfillment, well, I literally had lost you before you even got to the word soul fulfillment. Because I don't have time for that. You're caught in myth and lore of religious groupthink babble, and whatever mysticism this life has to offer compares little to the stark reality it has to offer in the collision of 3D matter, time and space, with all you other human experiencers who purchased a ticket for the same ride I did. Here we are in this zone of existence that we land literally naked and crying inside of. And to what end? To realize a life of combat, guilt, self-worthlessness, feeling unable, feeling ill-equipped, feeling unfit, feeling as if somebody made a mistake. Because while I see all these other people milling about doing this human Earth 8675309 ride their way, I don't see anybody in my lane that looks like they're doing it my way. So there is checkmark 1 in the boxes of, should I be giving myself a delusional mental state self-evaluation check right now? Because nothing feels more insane than coming to terms with the idea that you are isolated, alone, unique, and in no way going to find anything close to a soulmate. So what? That doesn't make you crazy. But it can make you feel crazy because you can see the community at large coordinating itself with people doing things that, oh, if only I had done these things to put myself in their capacity, I too could be bandying about with those oh so bright, shiny smiles and what? Sweet ass sunglasses? I mean, what do you look around at other people and think, I'm just not like them. I don't fit in. It ain't gonna work. This disconnect is too real. I'm the problem. Well, for me, it boils down to not being able to trust academics, because having put all my faith in the knowledge base that is here to be gained through dedication, purpose, hard work, and the pursuit of a bigger brain, well, that was the one strategy, the one gambit that I certainly thought was worth putting my most energy into. Largely because it was the one thing I was skilled enough to think I might have purpose or some sort of resonance in life value through what? Secrets unlocked, information organized and accounted for in ways that connect dots gloriously. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I do know because unlike maybe anybody else, my ability to just roll with it, thinking it's all going to work out, and whatever these other people have said is worth my time, well, worst case scenario, I can fake it with the best of them. So if I feel out of place, if I feel isolated, if I feel unique and the one-off not understanding what the fuck is going on around here, well, I can just put on a mask and nobody will be the wiser. So there's checkbox number 2 in the should I be giving myself a delusional mental state evaluation right now? And that is your willingness to say it doesn't matter. I don't matter. None of this matters. So with my nihilism in full bloom, what do you think you can hit me with that will make a difference? 400-foot wall of water? a solar flare of frightening magnetic disruption? Or maybe just a, no, I'm busy Friday night, and I'm busy Saturday night, and I'm busy Sunday night, and I don't go out on weeknights. So why don't you go take your puny ass, sorry piece of shit excuse of an existence out of my face so I don't have to tolerate it. I mean, the misfittedness of, am I losing it? Well, if you can even 1% entertain the idea that you might be, I sometimes wonder if that's just not enough of a tipping point to send those who are merely curious and questioning into some state of full-blown mental fatigue. Because when you have to think about the historical timeline and how many ways it doesn't add up, well, the very first thing you want to say to yourself is, okay, wait, I'm fucking crazy. I mean, the history of mankind is a rather static element of planet Earth's immediate concerns. And so I don't feel that the one against all of mankind and all of history is a fight I should be taking on. So you don't. Even though maybe your first real questionable moment comes with a stupid, wait a second, why didn't any of the Egyptian tombs include dinosaur bones? But whatever, right? They probably did. You just don't know. And then even that moment of insight isn't enough to to even seduce you into thinking there might be some meat on this bone. No, you have read one comic book too many. You have misthought one logical thought into illogical land one too many times. Whatever it is, this is a breakdown of personal embarrassment, not a breakdown of historical accuracy in the written record of Homo sapien on planet Earth. Okay, so do I go find the dinosaur bones that King Tut owned? I mean, so how do I fix this? Like, what do I do? Well, for one, definitely do not start thinking about population expansion and regression in trying to establish relative starting size of Earth to get us to 8 billion. I mean, however you go to verify that we do have a gap of time from, say, King Tut to today of somewhere between 3,800 and 4,800 years, I'll give you a 1,000-year window in which to call it a bullseye. Well, I mean, we have the written record. No, we don't. I mean, what we have are copies of copies of copies of copies of shit. At least, if you're going to ascribe the canon of literature to that which supports your interpretation of history. There is no giant book of Earth events that tells us how it's gone down since pen and ink were available to be utilized. No. In fact, all there is question mark, uncertainty, mystery, connections that seem painfully obvious, like pyramids on every continent, megalithic construction that is identical in Egypt, in Peru, and in Cambodia, and many other parts of the world. But if you're covering those three, you're a global presence. And it's of course told, I believe, across the planet, in all Earth history, mankind evolving classroom settings, that from the beginnings of primordial soup life, well, mankind is here and has done so by surviving as the fittest monkey among many. Just look around. They're all over the planet. We're the ones that DNA craps table dice rolled an 11 and said, haha, hell yeah. If anybody around here is going to roll a yo, well, it's not going to be me. And frankly, I don't think that the universe works that way either. So when you start to wonder if the numbers and the data points that are verifiable, that do exist in reality as you know it, if those cannot be in any way drawn in a coherent fashion with thread throughout our history's story as it's structured now, okay, well then, I guess, either I'm wrong and we'll get egg and tomatoes thrown at me as they put me in stocks in the center of the town square for my stupid ideas, possibly, or I'm right and everything else is fucking crazy. It's so much easier. It is so much less anguish to just slide into slot number 1. I mean, who gives a shit, right? You're here for somewhere between, 8 and 88 years of legitimate, good, active time, and whatever the powers of that be who laid all the roads, who built all the airports, well, okay, hold on. See, this is the built-in conditioning that this is why there is no spark of, is this all we get? Couldn't this be better? Wait, I have ideas that I think if we were to at least whiteboard and move through a sort of community discussion might lend to some better ways of doing things than what we got going on right now. And one of those turns out to be a path that I no longer believe I'm capable of taking. I do not have it in me to just shut the fuck up, accept the coupons Kroger mails me for bread on a monthly basis, and do the work necessary to be able to afford the hospice care that my certain to be accelerating onset of Alzheimer's will necessitate. And really, I'm 90% fine with that, because I don't have to be anything to be fulfilled other than completely and totally myself. Everything that occurs within that reality is fulfilling, because I am fully invested as myself in the reality I'm experiencing. Or at least that's the defensive posturing that went up as I started to understand that I will not believe in this earth as a pure attempt to express humanity realized. There are influences here that cannot be of the same soul material I'm cut from. War, number one. The constant drumbeat of war. There is nothing appropriate or understandable about that circumstance. Does that mean I am out of whack because reality is so blatantly proving that nonstop war is kind of our thing? Well, no. Of course not. Nonstop war. Shit. Whoever's doing it, whatever they are, whether they're broken human beings or entities of another garden, well, they're not the divine soul that a human being embracing their humanity represents. Because those divine beings are capable of so many better solutions than war. And yet, not being comfortable with swallowing my gruel, getting back in line, and doing my dishes just like last time doesn't make you, doesn't give you purpose. Or what I'm trying to say here is, just because you've gotten fed up enough with the bullshit that you say enough doesn't bring the promise of a stable, forward-driven initiative to your life whatsoever. Being able to see the manipulation and the creation of storytelling that moves us in ways counter to our humanity's inclination. Whoever is gaming the system, well, the bouncy castle they have blown up for me to fall around in, I don't even see a door out. I just know I'm in a bouncy castle. I don't even really care that I am. And that feels apathetic because, well, if you know you're inside of some amusement park padded environment of nonsense, then isn't it incumbent upon those who can see it to break through it? Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's that Cypher and the Matrix question. Would you rather be in on the delusion but enjoying all aspects of being deluded, or in on the reality, suffering every second that ticks by as that reality grows more and more stark? Well, I'll take reality every time. And it's not even, that isn't even a decision. Cypher is a weak person because nothing can you learn from injecting yourself into a cozy environment in which all the cues will be read with ease and all the moves will be predicament free. It's the same reason that when I select a candy bar, I select something other than Hershey's milk chocolate. If you're unwilling to test the width and depth of experience in space-time, 3D reality with cause and effect that you are in control, I don't believe that there is a single human entity that can't find somewhere deep within a reserve of activity for the initiative that it is to be a good person, or to be the person they were destined to be. So, though I'm pretty sure I'm not willing to just say, oh, well, yeah, I mean, I did see the latest news on that stuff going on over there in those other countries where I'm not part of it. And you know what? What they were telling me to think sounded pretty okay, so I'm going to say I'm thinking like that. Okay. Though I was that person for a good 45 years of my life, I am so far removed from those influences now in direct contact, as most of the people I know still are, that I can't maintain a sense of of productivity today with what I now know that I didn't know yesterday. I can't continue my arc of, well, if this is how it is, then the next step is this or that. But obviously it's one of those. In some ways, the gain of perspective that comes with breaking down the matrix, as it were, that we are participating within. If you are nothing more than ready to say, fuck yeah, I knew this shit was fucked up. Fuck yeah, I was right. Knew it all along. Well, if that's what you're in it for, man, that is dumb. And not that there isn't a sense of reorientation that comes with recognizing that the disconnects weren't coincidence, they weren't your fault, they weren't your misperceiving, they weren't any of it. They were intentional. They were they were so integrated into your experience that of course you were right. The question is, what took you so long to come to the realization? Okay. Now I'm feeling crazy again. Because realization about what? That I'm not crazy? That the world is? Well, yeah. Unfortunately, that little ride is the bumpiest experience I've ever willingly endured. The deflation, followed by the panic, followed by the disbelief, followed by the, hang on, let me check all this shit again, followed by the, there's no fucking way. The scale of it's too large. So you go into denial, then you go into some sense of adjustment, because it can't scale out like that, or the entire charade would be self-combusting. Wouldn't, I mean, how does it maintain inertia? How can all of it be so fucked up? It can't be. It's me. Denial. Or, well, I mean, sure. I mean, maybe they cut a couple hundred years out of the timeline just to speed us along and give us some numbers that we could all fucking hang our hat on, but it's not like everything that we know as hundreds of millions, if not billions, of life finding a way on 8675309 Earth. I mean, most of that has to be true, or else somebody would have called the fucking alarm bell and said, have you seen over here how much of this is full of shit? So that's like, what, justification? That the circumstance can only get so out of control, so whatever fantasy I'm having about Dan Browning my way through the next decade of life are just that, they're fantasy. And in fact, I might want to keep my mouth shut about these ideas so that I'm not embarrassing myself at work about how I think the architecture in America doesn't match the narrative of the historical lore we're asked to swallow. Well, again, number one, you're stoned. So, I don't even think you should be having these thoughts in your own head with yourself, let alone encouraging your public sharing of these, frankly, so have you heard what John's talking lately? Kind of realm? And why would you even want to go in this realm? What's wrong with you? Just stay away. If 45 years of telling the room the story they wanted to hear wasn't enough training to ride this out without even so much as a disruption to be noticed, well then, whatever chaotic endgame coordinating symphony of stupidity you're trying to compose, yeah, you're on your own. Because making waves for no reason other than to show you were right, well, being right's not all that fucking important. Nor does anybody else care to hear that you would like everyone to know, hey, take a look, I was right. Fuck y'all. But when certain elements become too mystical, I guess, too I suppose paradigm shattering to ignore, well, man, that'll have you run into the CDMs, evaluation booklets, trying to figure out how fucking crazy you are, because you know you're crazy. It's just a question of at what degree have I finally dropped off the shelf? Am I full blown, bring me a lollipop and a straitjacket? Or am I just that guy who keeps yelling at garbage cans behind 7-Eleven? Or am I some version of unique disappointment in mental congruity that just didn't have enough stability to keep my shit together like everybody else? Yeah, probably all of the above, really. I mean, the thing that would have kept me on team Delusional forever is if we'd have just mixed in enough veracity in real time to not have me question, how can we be in such denial over what our basic interpretation of facts that run counter to the narrative across the board? They don't fit the narrative, so we dismiss them as fraud. Well, okay. That may happen like with the Egyptians and some of those subjective sciences, but fuck, man. Physics is physics. Figure it out, put it in a book, publish it, and then take credit. Just like everybody else since time began has done. Yeah, I like how attached to the dogmatic, data-driven reality you are when you can just bury yourself in the pursuit of measurement, quantification, this versus that, my height versus your height. Who's taller? One of us is. I mean, on the odd chance we are identically height, I mean, are we using the kind of measurement tools that we can come up with that could just perhaps declare one of us a nanometer taller than the other? So let's work on our measurement tools. Because the one question I've had since I manifested in this incarnation of humanity is, how fucking tall am I? Wait a second. I've also wondered, how much do I weigh? I've wondered, is my middle too big? I've wondered, Are my legs not strong enough? I've wondered, does my hair curl the wrong direction? Do my ears match? Are my hands too big? Are my thumbs too small? Are my thumbs too long? Are my arms too hairy? Is my mouth too small? Does my nose smells well? I've questioned whether or not I've got that which it takes to measure up in this 8675309 Earth in every conceivable way. Just like you. Because, again, we arrived here, ready to take on the reality that was going to present itself with the toolbox that we knew gave us a chance to succeed against however space-time continuum, fluctuation, collapse of quantum potentiality we lucked into. Or we chose, or we were fabled through as carriers of that which the Galactic Federation wants us to pass around the plate and get some of them simoleons. Whatever. Starseeds to Starship Trooper fans. It was realizing the spiritual, the force, that which connects us in a way that is knowable, but not describable, not quantifiable, not even describable. Getting pretty high now, so this is the time to zap this one off. But before I go zap off, number one, I'm going to put this one up no matter what. And this one has been cumbersome at best. Because maintaining the straightforward structural integrity that reality demands for us to experience life in measured quantities at the highest measurable quantity available, that pursuit of life has been thrust upon you. You didn't come here to embrace it. You didn't come here to participate in its natural occurrence in this competitive environment. You did none of that. You have been given one and one choice only, and that is to assimilate inside a reality that requires all of us to measure ourselves as not quite up to the challenge at the highest level, no matter how we turn the analytical gun against ourselves. Again, maybe Rafa Nadal has the ability to withstand the punishment and come out the glazed jelly donut that he is on the other side. But the rest of us, we just are too fragile not to fall for the safety that it is to land in the basket that says, hey, I may not have been great. Hell, I may not have even really been good enough. But at least I paid my taxes and did what was necessary to take care of the kids I created. And yeah, my mistakes along the way, Maybe some of those I could have done better with, but all in all, show me anybody else is doing any better when it comes right down to it. Doesn't matter how your role in this whole charade shakes down, everybody ends up with their own set of burdens. So, however you want to quantify this as measurable in the extreme, in the aggregate, in the, hey, look what I did with my packet of time on Earth. Well, I bet we're all lucky to be getting C minuses, because nobody here, again, aside from possibly Rafa Nadal, nobody here is swinging for the fences and hitting home runs every time they step to the plate. Nope. We're all blemished. We're all falling down, dusting off, recovering, standing up so we can slip as we try to adjust our balance one more time. We're all here to endure. Endurance, underrated, but maintaining your equilibrium against this storm of nonsense, well, I couldn't do it. Or it crushed me. Literally. But it doesn't have to crush anybody, because you have to allow it to invade your life at that level. And I admit, I was set up for all of the dominoes to fall exactly the way I would stay most unsettled. I had to swim all the way through the rockiest and roughest water and get to the other side before I even understood how much work was involved to just get through the currents. But having arrived in a position to now understand the whole distribution as it's playing out, and again, I don't really deserve this insight. This was more Hakuna Matata, divine intervention, whatever sort of acquisition. But I know I can't remain passive. I have to bring myself out of a life of measuring the world around me. I have to live this world the way it was meant to be lived. And there's still plenty of time to do that. And the fact that I fell for the greatest show on earth again and again and again and again and again and again, and just am embarrassingly recovering from the lapdog that I was on the teat of the New World Order the entire model they sold. Well, I was their prime candidate. So when I failed inside of the paradigm that it seemed like I was built to succeed within, I felt like I had let down the universe. I wasn't even all that disappointed, because I knew that so much of what felt like misdirection and jammed up intuition was in fact my sense of who I am having no opportunity in this reality to expose. There's no place here to become the person that I am in full. You have to be broken down through the experience of human life to fundamentally embrace that which you are at your core. This is the journey. Earth is designed to wreck you so that you face that which you must rely upon to ascend to greater heights than from where you fell, or from where you slid, or from where you backtracked slightly. We all come here to suffer, and to suffer at our own misapplication, as well as the chaotic coincidence of all the nonsense filtering around us. It's a shit show everywhere. And frankly, we're as covered in shit and as full of shit as the entire shit show we see in operation. So, fuck it. Into the shit show we go. Well, that is the decision that can no longer be made. No, I will not play in a shit show anymore. I may not be able to influence much, but I know I can influence that which is directly around me for the better. In every opportunity. I am that capable, just like you. Wherever I turn and find life not fulfilling, it's because I'm not fulfilling life in that turn. And the idea that I came here to be measured was so seductive. I don't know how you escape it. But once you do, you'll never, ever feel anything but fulfilled again. The measurement is there to remind you that you're not worth it. You have to be reminded of that because obviously each and every one of us is worth it. The universe is literally here for us. We are here to expand consciousness. That is the expansion of the universe. As consciousness grows, the universe expands. If the universe can continue its growth and accumulation of experiential reference, there is no disharmony invading the future of galactic evolution. It's all designed to be engaged by us. Now, why we're being manipulated within the designed engagement, I don't know. That part, I may never even get to find out. I don't know that I deserve to know. The forces in play are much more committed to an outcome of known destination than I'd ever want to be. I like being human because you never know what fucking is coming next, including the swear word that will come out of my mouth. When, how, if. There's no if. It's a when. But the surprise of life is the best element to living. And the ability to navigate those blips and hurdles as you go, because you're learning to integrate with the environment on a level that is completely synchronized with who you are. Well, Look, the New World Order could be doing its own thing for a purpose that matters in some cosmic quantification at a level that I can't access. But from where I sit, the only challenge to being at peace with who you are on this planet is understanding that everything else out there is trying to pull you away from believing that who you are matters, is destined, and has value. That never wavers, it never changes, and you never have to question it for yourself. It is an absolute part of materializing in this reality. You're the point. You're the double slit experiment. You're the result that is both manifesting as a wave and distributing as a particle. Because the potential of this universe is on you to realize it as your true self. That experience is all life is about. So, measure me any way you want. Determine that I'm not up to the task in however many different ways you want to quantify me. Because you'll always be wrong. You'll always be telling me something that you want me to think. Because you know if I evolve to think what I'm capable of thinking, if you even give me a taste of achieving what I'm capable of achieving, well, you'll have lost me forever. But the universe, well, the universe never gives up, thankfully. Because if it did, I would have been given up on, like, I don't know, sometime in the 80s. Maybe the 90s. No, the 80s. I'd have never made it out of the 80s. I wonder if I did make it out of the 80s. It is the 21st century, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm not that delusional.